Yisra'il TV, canal 26.3, Los Ángeles, California, uniendo pueblos. Adat Netzer Yisra'il presenta
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Thank you for being with us. And once again, I'm sorry for the delay. We had a little technical problems that we will fix very, very soon. And once again, thank you for joining us. This Shabbat that we are gathered here today is to pretty much to study the Torah, to study the writings of our forefathers, and it's pretty much something that we've been looking forward to address every Shabbat. Remember that every Shabbat, it's quite important for us to understand that no matter what, our Creator said that this Shabbat should be a Shabbat of blessings, Shabbat of understanding concepts that our Creator has been giving us through, for so long. He's giving us so much, and yet we don't give anything in return. So it's very important for us to understand this concept of understanding Torah. Now, today's Parashat, I don't want to take much of a time because we want to cover as much as we can on this Torah portion. Today's Torah portion is Terumah. Terumah means contribution. The contribution that our Creator asked our forefathers to gain or regain as far as how they needed to build the Mishkan, the tent of the dwelling or tent of the meeting. So this parasha is rather very important because here we will see a lot of things that pretty much we might not heard before. And we will get into that. The important thing is that this parasha is very interesting because it's rich in a lot of depth, a lot of things that our Creator is pretty much telling us that it should be done like that. But in this parasha is basically full of a lot of hidden things, which is rather important. And remember this, brothers and sisters, that all this is for a reason. The Creator gave us this for a reason. The reason for us to understand why did the Creator ask Moshe to build the Mishkan, to build this tent of the dwelling, and it's rather important. Today, we only have a little glimpse of understanding this concept, but we will get into that as we go along. So let's get into it. And it goes like this: Parashat Terumah, and number 19 in Exodus or Shemot 25, all the way through 27, verse 19. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Yisra'il that they take up a contribution for me from everyone whose heart moves him, you should take up a terumah. A terumah means a contribution. Now remember this, brothers and sisters, that the reason why the Creator asked this is because he needed to find out what was in the people's heart. It's like today, we have to understand this. The Creator don't need, us to, so he can make his own plans. He can make things out of the thin air. Remember that. But the reason why he asks us to do so is because he wants us to participate. He wants us also to find out what's going on with our hearts. If our hearts are willing to provide, he wants to find out what's. He already knows, but he wants to, he wants to kind of like find out if you're willing or not willing. But he already knows the future already. But he's giving you the option. That's what is called free will. So in this verse, we want to find out what is the reason why Yahweh asked this. And here you find the reason very clear. He says that in whose heart moves him, you should take up a terumah. In other words, whoever wants to give him his own will, he will. And we find out later that they gave a lot, to the point where Moshe said, that's about enough. That's way too much. They gave so much gold. Remember that the gold, they brought it from Yisra'il, from Egypt. Not only that, this was something that the Creator asked him to do so, but he asked him in a very way to understand why he did do that. Why did he ask all these things to because he needed to build the Mishkan. Now this is very important, and look at what it says here, 25 verse 8 of Shemot or Exodus. And they should make me a set apart place, and I shall dwell in their midst. Do you see that? I shall make a set apart place, and I shall dwell in their midst. In other words, one of the reasons why Yahweh asked Moshe to build the Mishkan, or the tent of the dwelling, or the tent of the meeting, is because he wanted to dwell in their midst, in the people of Yisra'il, our forefathers. That's one of the reasons why. But the important thing is that the reason why he needed to have this Mishkan, because there was another reason for it too as well. So we are going to get into that little by little. But this is very important, and it is something that is, a lot of things are encoded here, especially in the Hebrew, and a lot of things that we might not know. Now, Exodus 7:5, look at what it says here about being among them. 7 verse 5 of Shemot or Exodus, and I shall bring the children of Yisra'il out from among them. Again, in the middle of them, among them. Here it is making the separation from the Mizraim, from the Egyptians. The Egyptians, all the Egyptians, all the pagans, all the Goyim, he are making the difference and the distinction here between them, among them. He's going in there and bringing them among them, about the Egyptians, about the Goyim, the nations. So the same thing with us. Same thing is the Creator is making a difference between us and the Goyim, us and the world, the pagans. Because we have to understand, we live in this world, but we are not from this world. That's two different things. So this is something that we have to take in consideration, that these things are happening for a reason. And that reason is that the Creators put us here on this earth, to understand, to follow His Torah, to understand what life is all about. But we live in this world, and we have to make that distinction between the world and the things that are kadosh, the things that are set apart. So this is very important. Haggai to 5. And the word that I covenant with you when you came out of Yisra'il, in my spirit, my ruach, is remaining in your midst. Do you see that? In your midst. Again, is using that word tavech. Tavech means being in the midst, in their midst. And also it can mean also within us as well. Within us as well. So that is something that is a pattern of the things to come. We're going to get there in a minute. So this is something rather important, because here we see a lot of things that perhaps we want to find out, and now we see the pattern. The pattern of the Mishkan. There is something, a foreshadow of something that is coming very soon. So Exodus or Shemot 15:7. You should bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place of Yahweh, which you have made for your own dwelling, the set apart place of Yahweh, which your hands have prepared. Now, you see here right now a pattern of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple in the future here. Because remember this, the Mishkan in the is not the only word that is being used here. The word set apart place is the word Mikdash. And not Mishkan, but Mikdash. That's what it's called, the Beit HaMikdash, the house of prayer, the house where the Creator is going to dwell. So here, the Mikdash is already a foreshadow of the temple that Solomon was going to build. So that is something very staggering here. Now, let's move on. The word Ko Asher Diver Yahweh Naased. This is what our forefathers and what we said too as well. When our forefathers, they never asked 20 questions. They only said in Exodus 19 verse 8, and all the people answered together and said, all that Yahweh has spoken we shall do. All that Yahweh has spoken we shall do. Ko asher diber Yahweh naased. This is the things that our forefathers sealed their lips, and it is something very, very important. Now, we have to take in consideration that back in those days, the idolatry was everywhere, just like today. And today, what is it that we shall say to Yahweh, our Creator? Shall we supposed to ask Him 20 questions? So shall we supposed to ask Him this and that to our own Creator? I think not. I think we should believe what the Creator said in His Torah, and believe it with all our hearts and follow it. And that love that we have towards our Creator shows in the action that we do, which makes the difference. One thing is saying, one thing is doing, but doing and acting, those two things are very powerful, and that's why we ought to follow. Now in Exodus 24:10, and when this happened, when the Yahweh was giving the Torah, this is what our forefathers saw, especially the Moshe, Yahushua that was with Moshe in the foot of the mountain, and the 70 elders. And they saw the Almighty of Yisra'il, and under His feet like a paved work of sapphire. They see that stone, and like the heavens for brightness. That's one of the reasons why we said the tefillin, what we use here for the for our head covering, and we use the techelet. The techelet is the blue cord that the Creator asked us to put on our seats, and this is our reminder of the heavens where Yahweh dwells as well. So this is something that we have to take this in consideration as well. Now, remember this, we spoke this before, there are 12 months out of the year. The first month we know is Abib. That's the head of start of the whole year. And then it goes to second, third, fourth, all the way to 12 months. We know that there are 4 seasons of the year. We know that very well. Now, the question is, when was the Torah given? What month was the Torah given? And we know the answer to that. The Torah was given on the 3rd month. Matan Torah was the giving of the Torah. Now, how many months are left out of the 12 months? If the month of the 3rd month of where Shavuot was given the Torah, how many months are left out of the year? Are 9 months. Now, remember this, that where the 3rd month, where Yahweh said to Moshe, you need to gather the people, you need to give them this Torah, we need to give them this instruction, this way of life. You need to remind them about your forefathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, Jacob, that they followed this. That's what the original oral Torah was, not the one today. But we know that here Yahweh says to Moshe, you need to make a contribution. You need to gather all these things. These things are going to be very important to make and build the Mishkan, the tent of the dwelling. And all these ingredients, all these things, the instruments, and the gold, the sapphire, the stones, the wood, all this is going to be very important to make the Mishkan. So it took about, once again, how many months do we say that are left? So they are left 9 months. 9 months they needed to gather all these utensils, all these tools, so they can make the Mishkan. So 9 months all the way to the year ends. So we know that the Torah says that in the 2nd year of the exit or the exodus of our forefathers from Yisra'il, the Mishkan was erected. So how many months do we have here? We have about 9 months. The same as the woman is bearing or carrying the child for 9 months. This is something, a shocking evidence that we see a pattern of all of us into the Mishkan. Once again, this is a shocking pattern of Yahweh's Mishkan in a familiar evidence. There are similitudes to all of us as a humans. So this is something very, very important. Why did I bring this up? Is because we have to understand that this foreshadow of the heavens is a foreshadow here on earth. So this is something that we have to understand. We have to grasp in our minds that Yahweh is codifying these things, and is a foreshadow of all of us as well. So it takes 9 months to build the Mishkan, and this is very important. Now, the first month, as we said, it was Abib 1. Then the 2nd month comes in, and then the 3rd month comes in. Okay, that's where the Torah is giving. Okay, and how many months do we said we've said that are actually left, which is 9 months. We have the 4th, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9. And then we continue 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 9 months left. 9 months left that we have here, that we are left 9 months to build the Mishkan. So here once again we see that the same pattern as the woman is bearing and carrying the child for 9 months to give birth. The same thing Yahweh is giving a pattern of the Mishkan, the tent of the dwelling, that it needed to be done within 9 months. So once again, this is something, a shocking revelation for us to understand that these things is a pattern of a human, the pattern of us. So the Mishkan was erected, and they needed to be done in a certain way that it will pattern the heavens. So look at what it says here in Hebrews 8:5, the same thing as what the Torah says, who serve the pattern and shadow of heavenly things, even as Moshe was divinely warned. Look what he says, being about to make the Mishkan, for he said, see that you make all things according to the pattern being shown to you in the mountains. So here we see the same thing as what the Torah says, the same things. Do this as a pattern of the heavenly things. So in other words, he needed to make the utensils, all the things that needed to be, the tools that needed to be used in the Mishkan, and every little thing that you see here was basically a replica of the things in the Shemayim, in where Yahweh dwells. Now we have to understand something very important. Every little thing has its meaning. So we get into that in just about a minute. So here all these utensils, the menorah, the incense, the bread of the presence, the lechem, and the altar, the sacrifice, the seed where it needs to be washed. All these things are very, very important because every little thing, it pinpoints to all of us as humans. Now look what it says here. Once again, in the Torah portion says 25 verse 2, from everyone whose heart moves him shall take up a terumah. I do want to make a statement, and this is very, very important what I'm about to say. All the things that we ask to for the Creator to give us, we ask the Creator to give us knowledge, understanding, health, knowledge on the Torah, give us the strength to follow Torah, to be faithful, to have faith. Faith means to be firm. Don't matter what's going on anywhere, you have to be firm in the Torah. You have to follow Torah no matter what. We need to do that. But in all the midst of all this turmoil, we ask the Creator to make the work that He has given us to spread the Torah to all of us. Now, for example, in our synagogue, we don't never ask for money. We never ask for anything. We ask if you want to give a donation or a tzedakah, is fine to us, and we don't enforce that. But what our Creator asks us to give, because it's part of the and it is a mitzvah, the tenth, which is a tithe, we all must give it, and we don't harp every single Shabbat about this. It is supposed to come as it says here. It needs to come when the person moves it. But remember this: it is a mitzvah. It is your responsibility for the tithe to give. Now, for donations, is basically donation. Is basically what is a terumah. It's basically a donation. But we always ask for donations, and the donations are for the work that we do here, and not for us. Definitely not for us, because all of us have our own job, so we can maintain our families. It has nothing to do with the things of the Creator, which has its own administration. And all this is just to spread the Torah all over the world. Now, we never do that. We never ask anything. In fact, we give everything for free, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. We don't concentrate on money, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. In the Brit Hadashah said that you give for free, you're supposed to receive for free. So the same thing with us. We don't ask for money. If we ask for donations, it's supposed to be for that, for donations, so we can make things in the synagogue to work, to go forth, and that's how the Creator is blessing us, so we can make things for all of us to grow in the Torah. So I just want to make that statement. Now, moves him to the Torah portion. If you notice here right in the middle, remember this, that the Mishkan, they needed to be done, it needed to be set right facing the east. Facing the east. And if you notice here right in the middle, what do you see here in the middle? You see some beam of light, right? And that's because the beam of light of Abib 1 needed to come in every single time. Every time it was set, every time facing the east, the rising of the sun. Okay, the Mishkan, not the person. The person was walking towards the Mishkan. So if you're walking towards the Mishkan, the tent of the dwelling, remember the Mishkan is facing east where the sun rises. But if the person is going inside, not all of them, but if they facing in towards the Mishkan, they giving their backs to the sun. So you see that? And that's the way it was set from that moment on. That's how the Creator said it. So we don't face this rising of the sun, because that's how the pagans do. Even till now, the Muslims do the same thing. And all the pagans, they face the sun. We don't face the sun. We face where Jerusalem is. Where Jerusalem. In this case, they needed to face the Mishkan. And that's why you see here the beam of light. Now, the Mishkan needed to be done in a certain pattern, a certain measurement. And believe me, every little measurement has its meaning. We'll get into that in the future, because this parasha has so much to that covers. I don't want to get into so much, because the next parashats, I think 1, 2, 3 parashats are going to cover the Mishkan. So we will go little by little into all these things. So if you notice here, brothers and sisters, you see the beam of light that went inside the Aron, the Ark of the Covenant, and this was every Abib, and every the second sign, the second marker which was on fall, the beginning of fall. So this was very important indeed. Now, if you notice from the birth eyes, you see how the beam of light went all the way inside also of the Beit HaMikdash as well. Now, you see every angle how the beam of light went inside the Mishkan. Now, let's get into every little thing, every little utensil that the Creator used as way of serve Him. And but before that, the entrance of the Mishkan, it was very important for them to have an entrance. If you notice here in the Mishkan, it only had one entrance. It didn't have like 7 entrances or 2 entrances or 2 doors. It only had one door to enter into the Mishkan. That is very important, because there is something hidden there. Now, if you notice the entrance of the Mishkan, let's get into what the Torah says in Bamidbar, or Numbers 2:3. And those who encamp on the east side towards the sun rising are the standard of Yehudah's camp. In other words, if you notice here in circular where the arrow is pointing, Yehudah, Judah was basically the head of that group there, but they were in that side where the sun was rising. That means the east. So from there, that's where Judah's or Yehudah was setting up their camps, and that's where the entrance of the Mishkan was. Now, it's very interesting that Mashiach Yahushua said these words in Yochanan 10:9 or John 10:9. I am the gate. I am the gate, Mashiach says. So this is very important for us to understand. Judah was, or Yehudah, the tribe of Yehudah was placed in the east side. And it's the same thing that the Mashiach say, I am the gate. So he's the entrance to enter into Beit HaMikdash, or the Mishkan, or to the dwelling. Very, very important. Something hidden here. Now, one door was the entrance of the Mishkan. Now let's get into that. We're going to cover into the outer courtyard, And we're going to cover two things. We're going to cover the altar, the mizbeach of the sacrifice, and we are going to cover also the seed where it needs to be washed. We're going to cover those two. Now, in Shemot, or Exodus 27 verse 1, you should make an altar of acacia timber. And verse 2 says, and you should overlay it with bronze or copper. Now here, every single utensil or tool, it needed to be made of acacia wood timber. The acacia wood is very important because remember, the acacia wood was basically had thorns. I don't know if you remember, we showing it before. It had thorns. It actually was very famous until now. It's all over in the Sinai Peninsula and all this area around. The acacia tree is very common there. So it is very interesting that the acacia wood also blossoms a fruit, and also not only fruit but flower and a fruit, and also not only that, it has thorns as well. And it's believed that the Mashiach, they use the same kind of acacia wood thorns where they make the crown that they put on the Mashiach. So it was all that related into all this. Now, every single utensil or tool was made of acacia wood, but also was covered or overlaid, as it says here, it was overlaid with bronze. Now, there is a great meaning on the bronze here, and let's get into that, what bronze means. Look at what it says here. Every person that was bite, I understand that there is disruption on the I'm gonna fix it right now. I think something going on with the audio, so I'm gonna fix it. I don't know if you found if it sounds better now, so let me know, please. And as we were talking earlier, if you guys remember how the Creator said to Moshe to make the serpent here, and the serpent that needed to be done to be made out of bronze. And look what it says in Bamidbar, Numbers 21 verse 9. And Moshe made a serpent of bronze and put it on a pole, and it happened that if a serpent was bitten any man, when he looked up the bronze serpent, he lived. Now this serpent was made out of bronze. What is the bronze really means? What is the bronze really means? It means something, of course. It has to be something that it is made of. Look what it says here in Ezekiel, or Ezekiel, 14:6. Therefore said the house of Yisra'il, so you say, Yahweh Almighty, turn and be turned from your demons, your Elohim, and from all your abominations turn away from your face. Here, there is a judgment coming to the house of Yisra'il. And the judgment was because they followed demons, they followed Elohim, they followed idolatry. The idolatry was very severe in the house of Yisrael, the northern kingdom, our forefathers. And this is something that we are related to. We are coming from idolatry. We cannot say that we don't come from idolatry, because that's what it is. It's the truth. We have to acknowledge the truth in order for us to make a change. So here, Yahweh is severely making a judgment towards, but here is pleading to them to turn away, to make a teshuvah, to repent. Look at what it says here in Ezekiel or Ezekiel 22:18. Son of man, the house of Yisrael has become cross to me, and all of them are bronze. You see that? Bronze and thin and iron and lead in the middle of the furnace. They are in the dross of silver. Here, the bronze, it's a judgment call to the house of Yisra'il. The meaning of the bronze is judgment. The meaning of the bronze was judgment. So what is the relationship that has towards the Mizbeach that was placed in the Mishkan? And it has a lot to do with us, because when we come to know Yahweh, we are in that battle. That battle is, should I continue, should I want, or should I back up? Should I continue, should I back up? Should I go back to the world? Should I go back to idolatry? Should I go back to drinking, smoking, drugs, etc.? Should I continue this, or should I continue forward? Remember that they need to walk forward. And here, the judgment that Yahweh is making here is a judgment call. Look at what it says in Ezekiel 22 verse 20. As they gather silver and bronze and iron and lead and tin in the middle of the furnace, they blow the fire and they melt it, and I will gather you in my anger, you see that? In my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. Do you see that? So the bronze is pretty much a judgment that the Creator is making here to the house of Yisra'il, our forefathers. But here, when in the relationship that has here on the Mishkan, the tent of the dwelling, is that when we come to know a little bit of the Torah, when we come a little bit of knowledge of Torah, we have to make a decision. We have to make a judgment here, whether we follow Yahweh or not. And remember, the sacrifice, the altar here, the Mizbeach, that was the sacrifice. We have to make a teshubah. We have to turn around. We need to make a change. The bronze, the sacrifice that we have to make, we have to make a change. We have to do teshubah. When you do teshubah, when you repent, you need to do something else. Remember that the Creator said, I did not repent unless I heard. You see that? You need to listen first the word of Yahweh in order to make a change. So when you listen first to the Torah a little bit and you understand, you say, okay, I think I need to make a change because I'm wrong. Then you make a change. You do teshubah. And when you do teshubah, something else happened. So you're still in the outer core. Remember that. You're not inside of the most set apart. You're not there yet, or the set apart place. You're still outside. 22 of Deuteronomy or Devarim, 28 verse 22, 28:22. Yahweh shall strike you with lung disease, and with fever, and with inflammation, and with extreme burning, and with a sword, and with the blasting and brass. Do you see that? And they shall pursue you until you perish. You see that here is basically making another reference of brass, of judgment here. So the judgment that we have to make, to the sacrifice that you have to make, is that to make the teshubah. The teshubah is the one that you need to make in order for you to go forward to the Beit HaMikdash, the Mikdash, the Mishkan. So when you make that repentance, that a turn, and then something else happen. Let's give you another verse, 1 Kings 14:24. And also the Sodomite was in the land, and did according to all the abominations of the nations that Yahweh disposed before the sons of Yisra'il. Now I'm just giving you a verse. There are strong verses. Once again, these are not light judgments that the Creator is giving to our forefathers, the house of Yisra'il. Our forefathers did so many evil abominations. They burn their children to Moloch. You know what that is? They sacrificed their children to Moloch. Not only that, they ate their children. They were cannibals. Not only that, we are looking at these verses, the Sodomites. You see that? The Sodomite. They have sex with, with minors. They have sex with men. It's just all kinds of abominations of the nations. They did so many abominations that the Creator said that to begin with, do not imitate the nations around you. And that's the first thing that they did, our forefathers in Northern Kingdom. And that's one of the things why the Creator cast them to the nations, because they were so hard-headed. They were so, the evil inclination that they had was completely abhorred the Creator's heart. So here, our forefathers did so many evil things. Much more, all of us. We follow the footsteps of our forefathers, but until now we have listened once again to our Creator Yahweh. Until now we have listened, we have made that change. And we have to understand the pattern of the Mishkan, so we understand why we need to make all these changes. Why do we need to make all these to understanding about how we can improve our life to the Torah. So here we make that change. Now going forward, if you notice here in the circle, that's the seed, this laver, where they need to be washed. And this is something very important, because the Kohen Gadol needed to be sacrificed first, and then he needed to wash himself in order to go inside a set apart place. Now, look at what it says in Shemot, or Exodus 30, verse 18. It says, "And you should make a bronze laver for washing, and its base made of bronze." Remember that, once again, all these things were made of bronze. All these things were made of bronze. And it's something that we have to understand, that if it was made of bronze, it's because it's telling you that there's still yet some kind of a judgment there. So that was very important. And I understand that there is some issues on the audio, so let me just fix this. Let me know if you are experiencing disruption here with the audio, but I already lowered it. So here, once again, the seed of brass was made of bronze. So in order for them to wash, so remember, there's still the judgment there is still going on. And this is something very, very staggering. Look at what it says at 1 Peter, or Kepha 3:21. And you also, look at that, you also are saved in the same manner by what? By tevilah, by immersion. Not merely when you wash the filth from the body. Here, Kepha, or Peter, is talking about the tevilah. Just as well, our forefathers did the immersion, not only when they went through the seed of reeds. Remember that the seed of reeds, they went to passed through the ocean, right in between it. That was a way of immersion too. And not only that, when they did cleansing every single one of them. So here we can see pretty much that the Creator is basically telling Moshe that needed to be done in a certain way, that for them to understand how the immersion is. Now Kepha is saying the same way the tevilah does the same thing too, but not removing the filth of the body. In other words, we're still in our bodies. We're still in our bodies. We're still making our way to the Olam Haba, to the everlasting life, and we're still attached to this body. But we need to make that important change, and also that evidence through the tevilah, because our Creator says that we should all to do it. Isaiah 4:4
or Yishayahu 4:4, when Yahweh shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and the blood of Yerushalayim shall have been rinsed away from its midst by the spirit of judgment. You see that? And by the spirit of burning. Now, here, all this is something related to all of us, indeed, all of us. Because here it says the daughters of Zion. Who were the daughters of Zion? That's my question. Who were the daughters of Zion? Remember that there were two kingdoms. The northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. The daughters of Zion are the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. So the northern kingdom is us right there. That's Ephraim. So here, the Creator said that He will wash away the filth of idolatry, the filth of all of the things that we've done. We need to make a change in order for us to go forward and to learn Torah, to learn the most inner secrets of Yahweh. We need to make all these little changes. We need to go. We need to go to the outer court, which is repentance. Now we are looking at the washing. The washing is basically the tevilah. That's basically it, the immersion. And we need to make a change. That change needs to be done in order for us to go forward to the inside of the Mishkan. So 2 Corinthians 7:1, then having these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all the defilement of flesh and the spirit, perfecting Kedushah in the fear of Yahweh. You see that? Washing ourselves, cleansing ourselves from the defilement of flesh and spirit. Remember this, that whether we like it or not, we've done a lot of nasty stuff. Yahweh says that if you've done all this, you need to make a change. You need to make a change. You need to repent. After repentance, you need to make a tevilah. You need to make that covenant with the Creator. When you make that vow with the Creator that you will, that you will be sealed with this, with the Ruach HaKodesh. The Ruach HaKodesh is the Spirit of Yahweh. Is the Ruach of Yahweh. So when you do that, Yahweh seals you, and then you're ready to go inside of the Mishkan. The inside of the Mishkan, that's a different level of understanding, which we're about to go in. But this is very important for us to understand. In order for us to understand Torah, we need to understand this pattern of how Yahweh has set up the Mishkan. So, once again, Ezekiel 36:25, then I will sprinkle pure waters on you, and you should be purified, and I will cleanse you from all the defilements and from all your idols, your demons, your Elohim. Do you see that? Yahweh is speaking again, that He needed to do this in order for us to be changed. He needed to cleanse you so you can be clean. By nature, we are unclean. We are unclean by nature. So Yahweh needs to do this through all of us. In order, all of us need to make a change. You need to make a change not just in the Ruach, but also physically too. You need to make those changes so they can be an evidence of the inside. Remember that Mashiach always spoke about the inside, but also has a lot to do with the outside too. So He always spoke about the inside, but also spoke about the outside. So those two things are very important. Now, before that, I do want to make also this statement as well. All of us, I guess in a certain past, a lot of people that come to know a little bit of Torah, they just want to come and just sit down. Okay, I went through the repentance, they said. I went to the Tevilah. Now I'm just going to sit down and just going to listen and just, that's it. I'm just going to become part of the membership, or I'm just going to listen to what Moreh, Rapha'Yah, or Hanan, or Moshe is saying. I'm just going to sit down and listen. I'm not going to do anything. And that's not good, because if we needed to come to no Torah, we need to, every year, I always said that every year we need to scale one more ladder. We need to scale one more ladder to Olam Haba, to the knowledge of Torah, every year. If you don't scale another ladder in this, we won't be able to go forward. And a lot of people are stuck into the same situation and stuck here. I want you to see that. It's stuck here in the outer courtyard. They don't want to go inside of the Mishkan. Look at what it says here, Hebrews 6:1. Therefore, let us leave the elementary word of the Mashiach and let us proceed, do you see that? To the completion. Once again, therefore, let us leave the elementary word of the Mashiach. What is the elementary word? We will see it next. And let us proceed to the completion. Why do you lay again another foundation from the repentance from the dead works, and from the faith on Yahweh, and from the doctrine of the Vilah, on the laying of hands, on the resurrection of the dead, and on the infinite judgment? Here, Shaul is making that statement to the Hebrews, to the Jews that were set there, but he speaking to them. That's all you're doing. You're only staying outside of the courtyard. Outside of the courtyard, that's not good. You're only speaking about the same thing. You need to go forward. You need to go forward. And there was a problem why they could not go forward. Once again, there was a reason why they could not go forward. They're only speaking about the same thing. They would not go forward. There was a good reason for it. That is impelled them to do so. Look at what it says here. 1 Corinthians 3:1. And brothers, I was not able to speak to you as the spiritual ones, but as the worldly ones, even as to babes in Mashiach. Gave you milk to drink and not meat, to were not then able, and even now you're not ready for it. And the reason why they weren't ready for it is because they were so into their old selves. They're still talking among themselves. They still have a lot of things that they retain from the world, a lot of gossiping, a lot of things that they were doing from just like anybody else outside, any goyim. They were doing the same thing. And that's why they were not going forward. We need to go forward. We need to go through that perfection on the Ruach. We cannot perfect this body, but the inside we can. So in order for us to go forward, we need to get rid of all these worldly things. We need to perfect ourselves as the word of Yahweh says that we ought to do. But the problem is that our inner evil inclination is impelled on us to going forward. So that's the problem that they had back in the first century. Now let's go inside of the Mishkan. The inside of the Mishkan was the menorah, that was the bread of the presence, or the lechem of the presence, and also the incense where they needed to be done. So let's go one by one. Now 26:35 of Shemot or Exodus, and you should set the table where the bread was, outside of the veil, and the menorah across from the table on the side of the Mishkan, on the southward. You see that? And you should put the table on the north side. So one was in the north, one was on the south. Now let's look at what the north is, so we understand what the implication is in the north and the south. If you notice here, the menorah was in the south, and the menorah across from the table where the bread of the presence was, or the lechem of the presence was in the Mishkan, the southward. You see that? Let's look at what the south is: north, east, south, west. Now I want to I want to clear something up today. Here in the Western, here in America, I guess even in Europe, But usually in the Western mind, the Greco-Western mind, we tend to believe every time we guide ourselves when we are lost, even our, what do you call this? We have, even our phone has this we have this device where it tells us where to go, and what is called the compass, right? The compass. We have the compass, and it tells you where to go. It usually pinpoints north. We always have to go north so we know where it is. But this is the Greco-Roman mind. Do you know that our forefathers did not guide themselves by the north ever? They always guide themselves by the east, because that was the rising of the sun. They knew that the sun rises from the east and downward on the west. They knew that. So if they were facing, okay, if we're facing the east, so the right hand, okay, the right hand was the south, and the left hand was the north. So that's one of the reasons why I want to bring this up. So once again, I want to show it to you so you understand. So if they're facing the east, the right-handed was the south, okay, and the north-handed was the north. So let's go into the south hand where the menorah was. So the menorah was basically the reason why it was made. The menorah is to shine where it needed to be shine. Now look at what it says here, because the Sinai was on the south of Jerusalem. Do you see that? Book of Devarim, of Deuteronomy 33, verse 2. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up and shone forth in the right hand of the law of fire from them. Now here we see that where was the Sinai? If Jerusalem is on the north, so Sinai is on the south. The Mount Sinai was the Torah was. So here we are looking at that the menorah is basically the Torah, basically. Once again, the menorah is basically the Torah is shining forth from the south. From the south was where the Torah was given. So this is something very, very revealing. Now, in Psalms, Tehillim 119, 105, your word, look at that, is a lamp to my feet and the light to my path. Your word is a lamp to my feet and the light to my path. The menorah is the one who enlightened us. Now that we were in the outer courtyard, now we go inside of the Mishkan, what is called the set apart place. Three things were in the set apart place, which was the light, the menorah. The menorah, what is it that is giving us? It's enlightening us of understanding Torah. Understanding Torah. You work in the dark, now you understand some things that you were ignorant about. So here it's a very revealing. Look at what Yeshayahu or Isaiah said, 8:20. To the Torah and to the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because there are no light in them. Once again, to the Torah and the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Once again, in order for us to understand Torah, we need to go inside of the Mishkan, to the set-apart place. We'll go into the most set-apart place in a minute. But here, we need to understand that the menorah is the Torah. So once you enlighten you, and you understand the Torah, and you understand that you comprehend it, that this is the word of Yahweh, this is no man's word, this is the word of Yahweh that He entrusted us to understand, to follow it. Then you understand the difference between this and that. And that's what we're doing. We are making the difference between a lie, between the emet, with the truth, and also the lies outside. And we have to be very careful. Matithiyah, look at what it says, the same word, menorah. Matithiyah or Matthew, Shem Tov, 5:15, nor do they light a lamp and put it under the bushel, but on the menorah it shines. All this in the house. What house? What house? The menorah lies where? In the house. The Beit HaMikdash, in the temple, in the Mishkan. So the same thing. The menorah was placed like this, was light up like this, so it can light up of everything. And I don't want to talk much about the menorah because there is a Parashat that especially talks about the menorah and every little thing that it speaks about. So, and I will get into very detail about the menorah and every little thing that the menorah has. We will get into that very detail. I don't want to give up those things yet because there is more to this Parashat. So the menorah was very, very important. And just one thing I do want to mention, the menorah was very important. My question to you is that where was the fire taken in order for them to light up the menorah? Once again, where was the fire taken to light up the menorah? And the answer is in the outer courtyard. The outer courtyard where the sacrifice was taken. Remember that the sacrifice, the fire, is not like I went to 99 cents and bought the matches and I just put it and burn it. No, that did not happen. First is because the fire needed to come down from the Shemayim, from Yahweh. Yahweh was going to burn the sacrifice, and that sacrifice was burned from the light, from the fire of Yahweh. That fire was divine. So from the same line, the wicks were taken from the all garments of the Kohen Gadol, the the vestments of the Kohen Gadol. If they were getting old, they make these wicks for the menorah. So they put the wicks on, and remember, it was made of pure olive oil. So they light up, they took this wick and they grab it from the fire that was a divine fire, and they took it all the way where the menorah was, and they light up the menorah. And they light it up right in the middle, and they start one by one. But the middle was called the shamash. The shamash. We'll get into that a little bit later on the next parashot. So that's one thing I can say. Now let's go into the next thing. We go into the north side where the table or the bread of the presence or the lechem. Shemot 26:35, the table on the north side where the lechem was. Now we know that we already seen that the man is facing the east, so the north side was the left side. Left side. So let's go what the left side is. Job 37:22, it says, golden splendor comes out of the north, and the Almighty is awesome on His majesty. In other words, His majesty, His kabod, is from the north. Why did I say that? It's because when the bread was in the north, right? On the north of the Mishkan. So the bread, what it gives us the strength. It gives us knowledge. It gives us, if you don't eat, what happened to you? You die. If you don't eat, you die. It's an essential thing for our bodies. So the same thing. The bread is the essence of Yahweh's sustenance. If we don't study the Torah, you will die in Ruach. You need to study Torah every day. 1 hour to 1 hour and a half is sufficient. 30 minutes go by like this, like nothing. 1 hour is sufficient. Even more. I gone to 6 hours studying the Torah. And it goes fast, like real fast. Even the sages said that learning Torah is like being in the Olam Chabad, because you don't feel it. Olam Chabad is, the time doesn't exist. Same thing, when they learn Torah, it's like there's no time, because the time flies so fast. So the same thing, the sustenance that Yahweh is giving us is to the Torah is like a bread to us. We need to study Torah. Now, one thing also, the Mashiach said, not only from bread alone man will survive, but for the word, you see that? From Yahweh's word, that's how you survive. Now, this is lechem that was taken from that table that was in the north side. Now let's go into the incense. The incense was right in front of the entrance of the Kadosh HaKadoshim, which is the most set apart place. Now, Revelation 8:3 says, another cherub came and stood in the altar of the Mizbeach, having a golden censer. That was a golden censer. And many types of incense were given in him, that he should give them the prayers of all the Kedoshim and all the golden altar before the throne. Now remember this, all this that Moshe have made is a pattern of the things in heaven. So whatever he made, that's what's in heaven. Same thing. We see here in Revelation where it says that this golden censer are basically, and there is a foreshadow of our prayers. Our prayers has a lot to do with the incense. Remember, the incense is supposed to be an aroma, smell, very beautiful and awesome smell to the Creator. But also, if our prayers are not the right way, our prayers can be deadly as well. And the Proverbs says that the prayers of the Rasha, or the evil ones, are an abomination to Yahweh. So we have to be very careful how we approach ourselves to Yahweh. We are approaching ourselves to Yahweh the right way? Is a good question for us to answer. So once again, the prayers are very important as a censer. Now Psalms 141:2, Tehillim, let my prayer establish before you as an incense. Do you see that? And they light up on my hands as the evening sacrifice. The prayers established before you as an incense. Once again, everything that we do is a pattern of Yahweh's Mishkan. Whatever the Kohen Gadol did, that's what we're supposed to do. In a different manner, of course, but it is basically saying the foreshadow of the Kohen Gadol doing in the Mishkan, in the tent of the dwelling. So all this is part of us. Now let's go inside. Now that before we go into inside, I do want to make a remark that all this was made a foreshadow of all of us. Now that we were outside of the courtyard, courtyard, as you see here, the courtyard is outside. Now we see that we went to the Kadosh, the set apart place, and we enlighten us. Yahweh has enlightened us. We are eating of the word of Yahweh. We are doing our prayers. We're doing three things. Yahweh's enlightened us with the Torah. We are feeding ourselves with the Torah. We are feeding ourselves with the Torah. And now we are doing our prayers. Our prayers are very important. And when we do our prayers, our tefillot, now we need to go inside. And the inside is where, in order for the Kohen Gadol to go inside of the most set apart place, the Kadosh HaKadoshim, you needed to be in a very, very high state of the Ruach. In other words, this was an inner search, inner examination. So this has a lot to, in other words, you need to be Kadosh. You need to be set apart completely. So in order for us to do that, it is very, very important. So let's get into that. The book of Devarim, or Deuteronomy 31:26, take this book of the Torah, this Sefer of the Torah, and you should put it in the side of the Ark of the Covenant. And Yahweh, on the covenant of Yahweh, your Almighty, so that it may be there, witness within you. A witness within you. Now, in some of the translations, it says, so it can be witness against you. But that's not the proper interpretation, because if you look at in the Hebrew, it does not say that. The Hebrew does not teach the Torah is against us. How could it be against us if you're following Torah? It doesn't make any sense. The word that implies there in the Hebrew is within us. The Torah is within us. That is very important. So is within us. So therefore, and another word that is implying here is witness within you. Now, what is the word witness? If you ask anybody who had an accident, do you see something? Oh yeah, I saw this. The other woman was passing by here. He hit the other one. And then you see somebody else. Do you witness that? Yeah. And then I saw this. So they have a different points of view, and nobody comes to a conclusion. Which one was it? That's not very witness right there, eyewitness. Here in the Torah says that the Torah is a witness within us. A witness within us. What does it mean to us? Remember that the Torah, if you notice here the ark was made of acacia wood, but it was overlaid with pure gold. Pure gold was overlaid. So when you overlay pure gold, it's going to look very shiny. I'm going to show you how pure gold is. Now, if you notice till today, if you notice how the astronauts, they have pure gold overlay in their helmets, and that's because of the radiation on the sun and all that kind of stuff. So that protects them. So if you notice here, it's pure gold. But if you notice how shiny it is, it looks almost as if a what do you call this? As a mirror. It looks almost as if a mirror. The same thing was with the ark. When the Kohen Gadol, or the high priest, went inside, he looked at inside. Right in front of the ark, and he basically looked at himself, because so shiny that he looked at himself like a mirror. So the same thing with us. The Torah becomes like a mirror. Look at what the book of James 1:23 says. Because if you are a hearer of the word, if you listen to the word and not doer, or don't do the action, is the one like a man studying his nature face in the mirror. You see that? And for he studied himself, and he has gone away. He went away, and immediately he forgot what he looked like. You see that? Somebody looked at him in the mirror, and he forgot what he looked like. But the one looking in the perfect Torah, do you see that? The perfect Torah of the liberty, and continuing in it, is the one not having become a hearer of the word, which can be forgotten, but a doer of the word, which will be blessed in his labor. In other words, what implies here, brothers and sisters, is just as well as the Torah is telling us that you should do Torah, we should keep Shabbat. You say, yeah, I will observe Shabbat, and then you just going away doing whatever you want to do. That's not really listening. That's not, you only hear, but you don't do. But looking at yourself in the mirror is, let me ask you a question. When you look at yourself in the mirror, is the purpose of what? Because you look good. You look good. If something is not right, you kind of fix it. You kind of fix it. This is not right, you take it out. Same thing with the Torah. The Torah is always pinpointing us that the things that we ought to have and the things that we ought not to have. And this is sort of like a mirror. We need to be perfect. Just like the mirror, we need to, that perfection is little by little. In order for us to go inside of the most set apart place, you need to make that change. You need to make that change. Look at what it says here. 1 Corinthians 3:12. If anyone builds on this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, or wood, grass, straw, all this is going to be tested. All these things were tested. If it was gold or any precious stones or anything, the fire is going to test all these things. The wood burns real quick. Grass, straw, all these are like fire up real quick. Now look at what it says, 3:16 of 1 Corinthians. Do you not know that you are the Beit HaMikdash of Yahweh, and the Spirit of Yahweh dwells in you? And whoever defiles the Beit HaMikdash of Yahweh, Yahweh will destroy. For the Beit HaMikdash of Yahweh is Kadosh, which you are. All of us are the Beit HaMikdash of Yahweh, the set dwelling place of Yahweh. The foreshadow of Moshe making the Mishkan was basically a foreshadow of all of us. All of us. So we need to treat this body as is, as a Beit HaMikdash, the set place of the dwelling place of Yahweh. Yahweh is saying that we need to make this set apart place Kadosh, set on apart from evil, in other words. So in order for us to do so, we need to make that change. If you don't make that change, you won't be able to go forth to the Olam Haba, to the infinite life. And that's what we want. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for being with us today. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah, and thank you once again. We will bring in more parashot in the future, of course, every Shabbat. I'm sorry today I was a little bit late. I had a little technical problems here, but they were fixed now. And hopefully this, not sure if this week is going to be the one or the following week. I'm going to have a special teaching in the middle of the week on Thursday, of course. And so be alert. I'm going to be sending the invitations very soon. So I will be bringing this teaching throughout the week. Thank you for everything. And once again, Shabbat Shalom to all of you, and enjoy this beautiful Shabbat. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. Shabbat Shalom.
Adat Netzer Yisra'il presenta